In this video, I want to share some plugin recommendations. It's a good time to buy considering it's Black Friday and soon Cyber Monday, but I don't really want to share what I think are the best deals in terms of the largest discounts. I just want to share a list of plugins that I would recommend you buy any time of the year. Also, if you do decide to pick something up, consider using my affiliate links in the description. This is a great way you can support this channel. The first deal I want to show you is IK Multimedia's Total Studio Max. This is a crazy deal. I just recently bought this bundle when it was on sale for $200. But I even already had some things that were in the bundle. So if you don't have anything in this bundle and you're interested in anything in it, this is just a no-brainer deal. Like if you're considering buying Amplitude or MODO Bass or SampleTron or TRX, you should really look into this deal for Total Studio Max. I just quickly want to show you some of my favorite elements of this bundle. For example, MODO Bass. You get many different bass models and they're all physical modeling basses, from regular electric basses to this violin bass to upright basses. Another highlight for me is of course the Hammond B-3X. Might be my favorite organ plugin at the moment. Next up, also still part of Total Studio Max. Damn, this is kind of fitting. You see, I love the sounds, I love the plugins, but on the back end, IK Multimedia is also kind of annoying. At the moment, it can't find some samples it should be finding. Let's see. And now it works again. They sampled all of these analog or also digital hardware synths. I really like the sounds, I really like the preset browser, but you might encounter some headaches working with IK, I have to be honest. But if you're just trying to save money, that might be fine. The main reason why I would go for this biggest bundle is because in my experience, if you buy these smaller bundles first, you might still be interested a bit in another thing, like for example, I was interested in Syntronik, but I was also a tiny bit interested in MODO Bass or MODO Drum. And if you buy them separately, you're always going to spend more than if you buy this big bundle, especially at this crazy discounted price. You also get MODO Drum in this bundle, which is not my favorite or go-to drum plugin, but it's definitely usable and has some nice sounds. And in TRX5, one of my go-tos is definitely the Wide 2A. I think that one sounds pretty good here on the drums. Or the tape emulations in TRX are also pretty good in my opinion. And I also like Stealth Limiter, which is pretty capable for mastering. The last thing I want to mention about Total Studio Max is SampleTron 2. More info about Total Studio Max you can find in this video I made. The second deal I want to share is BX Crispy Tuner by Brainworks. It's currently $30. They write list prices like $400, but you will never have to pay $400 for this. You can find this pretty much all year round, probably for $30 to maybe $60. Personally, I think I paid $15 back when I got it. I recorded these simple vocals. I'm coming home today, can't wait another day. And if you put BX Crispy Tuner, another flaw, I'm just recommending flawed plugins. Somehow there's a pretty major scaling issue when you first open it in Studio One, but actually Other than that, it works more or less reliably. The cool thing about Crispy Tuner is it has 3 different work modes. Very simple basic pitch correction. I'm coming home today, can't wait another day. Which isn't great for natural tuning, but I think it has a good sound. And if you want to get more natural tuning, maybe go to the Advanced tab. You can start getting more detailed with it. I'm coming home today, can't wait another day. It also has a good sounding formant shift. But the killer here is really the graphic option. And I would love if this plugin had ARA integration. That's the main reason why it's not my go-to. But you can record the audio data into it. And then, in a pretty good workflow in my opinion, you can start tweaking everything here with different tools, splitting notes, making slopes, increasing, decreasing vibrato. It's very powerful. I'm only scratching the surface here. And the main reason why I go back to this is because you can individually adjust the formant per note inside of the graphical editor. I've never seen this before. I can just say, oh, this formant for this note I would like here, and here it should be here, and here should be here. Let's maybe slide this formant opposite of the note pitch slide. Like this, you can actually get very natural results, but you can also just go crazy and get very creative results. That's why I think PX Crispy Tuner is something special, and you should check it out. For 30 bucks, it's a good deal. If you want mostly natural tuning, I would recommend another plugin though. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of Melodyne, especially Melodyne's pricing model. Studio One comes with Melodyne Essential, and that version is too limited for me, but upgrading is more expensive usually than just buying this plugin, which I think is actually better, RePitch. It's not as powerful as the full highest version Melodyne where you can do polyphonic pitching, but for monophonic signals, this is amazing. First of all, it has ARA integration, so you don't have to listen to the music. You can just open it and it just works. And it's also synced to the timeline, right? And if I want to correct something, I can do it here. If I want to adjust the pitch drift, I can do it here. And this one makes more or less vibrato. Here you can even adjust the level. So this is a bit less flexible than Crispy Tuner, a bit smoother to work with, especially considering the ARA, and a lot more powerful than, for example, Melodyne Essentials. There's 2 versions of it. I have RePitch Standard. I don't really know the limitations of Elements, but I would strongly urge you get the standard version. And I think you will be happy for a long time, unless you want to do polyphonic pitch adjustment. But if you're happy with the Elements version, you might want to consider one of these Black Friday bundles, which are pretty good deals. And I think from the $49 version upward, you have RePitch Elements in it. So for 50 bucks, you can get RePitch Elements with a whole bunch of different plugins in a bundle, which I think is fun. I don't know all of these, but Aberrant usually has good stuff. I like AAS, Baby Audio is good, UJAM has good stuff, so you get some additional value, and personally I just like to play around with some plugins I have never tried. Next, no-brainer deal from me. Pretty much every year I have to buy more of these packs. Addictive Drums 2 by Excellent Audio. So let's replace the MODO drums with an Excellent kit. Difficult to say if it definitely sounds better in this specific situation, but I just really love to work with this plugin, even more now that it had the facelift with the 2.5 update. I want to mention some kits I like. I like the United Heavy kit, which we just heard. I really like the Modern Soul and R&B kit, great for more modern sounding productions. The Black Oyster kit is really cool, especially for some Beatlesy or Motown-y sounds. but also maybe for some folk or pop sounds. I think that sounds great. I also really like the studio prog, especially when I want to do some Pink Floydy stuff. Or maybe some disco type sound. And the new Vintage Dad is a lot of fun. One thing to criticize about it though, it's definitely not something like a one-kit wonder, you know? Depending on the genre, you might really not find what you're looking for in a certain ad pack, in a certain expansion. One of the most versatile kits so far I found is maybe the Fairfax 2. Maybe the Fairfax 1, but it's really difficult. If you make very limited genres, maybe you're happy with 1 or 2 kits, but personally, I really keep buying these kits and maybe it's a bit of an unhealthy addiction. 1 kit is $40, 2 kits are $80, but what I would recommend you get is the custom collection where you can mix and match 3 kits with some extras, MIDI packs. They're also kind of lenient. If you pick one and you don't like it, you can exchange it later. But again, it adds up kind of quickly. If you want a cheaper option, maybe check out some of UJAM's drums. 1 kit is $20 here. They're also not really fitting for all genres. They're a bit more playful in the sense that you can work a bit better with MIDI loops with these. So if you want to do some loop-based performances, these plugins are pretty good. And they also sound decent. Personally, I prefer the sound of Addictive Drums and I prefer the customizability of Addictive Drums. But UJAM's virtual drummers, there's definitely some good sounds in there. Another go-to deal for me that I always recommend people get is MSoundFactoryLE. What's so good about MSoundFactoryLE? For $52 or on the website even a bit less, $46, you can get access to a ton of different instruments, from synths to sample-based instruments to all the add-ons they will ever release. Probably so far you get MeldwayGrand, which usually goes for $100, Dream Machines, Power Brass, Power Strings. Check it out. If you go to the All folder here, you can scroll, see how many different synths and sample-based instruments you can get access to with the LE version. The full version doesn't have any more instruments. You can just go to this edit screen right here. That's like if you want to create your own instruments, that's useful. But just for playing or using presets, just get the LE version. MeldwayGrand, one of my favorite pianos. If you want to see me compare a whole bunch of different pianos and see where this stacks up, check out this video. There's also some more experimental physical modeling type plugins in here, like this one. Just a ton of different sounds to explore. But if you're really struggling for cash and you just want a really good piano, you could also consider just buying the MeldwayGrand for $10. If you're looking for a different synth, Cherry Audio is a pretty cool brand. They don't really have the best sales, but generally have pretty low prices. Personally, I have a bunch of Cherry Audio synths, but I don't think it's smart to buy too many of them, honestly, because I now have maybe 10 or maybe a couple more or less. Like, I have no idea when I should pick which synth. But one of them I always go back to, and that is Signs. It's not even on sale at the moment, but it's $50, which I think is a good deal for it. It might go on sale a bit more, but the lowest I've seen it is maybe 30. I think I've never seen it any lower. Usually on sale it's maybe 39, but I really like Signs. And again, this is not necessarily a list of the best deals, but of the plugins I think you should generally buy. It can do some very cool sounds. A lot of them maybe a bit of FM vibes, but there's also some additive vibes and some subtractive vibes. And I think it's a very powerful combination between all different kinds of synthesis. And if you have a bunch of different Cherry Audio synths already, and like me, you're maybe not using them enough, you could consider buying preset packs. Personally, I'm really happy with my purchase of a Retropunk by Xenos Soundworks. This guy makes preset packs for pretty much all the Cherry Audio synths. These are the presets you get. I find most of these presets very useful. Another brand I love, Klevgrand. And the two deals you should consider is, on one hand, Ting, which is a lot of fun and pretty cheap, and Skaka, which is just the perfect shaker plugin. But most of them you could consider. These two are just the ones I would recommend for you today. Ting just has some random percussive sounds from everyday household objects mostly. What's special about it, I think, is it's very responsive to play on a keyboard. The way it's multi-sampled, it just sounds very good, and it's so easy to come up with something catchy, like for a rhythm layer or like a top loop. Basically press any keys in any order and you have something kind of groovy. I can recommend. And then the more expensive but also more powerful one, Skaka. Hands down the best shaker plugin. And they keep adding more instruments to this. Again, this has a great workflow, great sound quality, and I think what they did really well here is the way they worked with the transients of a shaker. Shaking, scraping sounds have information before the main transient, and Klevgrand really pays attention to all the details, and the way they sync up the loops with your project BPM, the transients always hit exactly where they need to hit. I love this plugin, and I put it on everything where I need a shaker. Alright, we're getting towards the end of this list and towards the more optional purchases, I think. These are more for fun, but if you want to buy something, these are great plugins and I like working with them. For example, some random effect plugins from Melda production. Some of them are on a very steep discount. Vibrato MB is fun to play with. Vocoder is very powerful. One of my favorites is Turbo Reverb. This one is kind of on the expensive side, 50% off and still $70 for the light version, but all of these reverbs you get in the light version. These are all like different reverb algorithms. I have one loaded here on this xylophone we heard earlier. Let's hear a different one. I love this reverb. It's one of my go-tos, definitely. I'm coming home today. Can't wait another day. Dynamics MB is pretty cool. This one gives you many different, they call it devices, with more or less specific use cases. Oftentimes I find sounds in here that I enjoy. And you can also get more granular, edit it, and you have a powerful multiband, not only compressor, also expander and limiter, gate. There's also the single band version, which has very different, but also equally as interesting to use devices. Another one you could consider is Waveshaper MB, which recently got this Oxford inflator clone as a built-in device. But there's also many other sounds and saturation distortion that you can get out of it. If you want to buy any of these plugins, you should probably go on the Melda Productions website, check out their bundle deals. If you already own some devices, usually you get even a better price than this, but this is a pretty good deal for pretty good plugins. I made a list about my favorite plugins of this bundle, of the MFreeFXBunlde. And I think if you never bought any Melda Production plugins, I have like a referral code. Everybody has one built in on the website. And if you use that, you get an additional discount. I think I'll put a code in the description if you're interested. But it only works if you're a new customer. You could also consider upgrading the MFreeFXBunlde to the paid version, currently for $20. I think this is also a pretty good deal. I like working with the free effects, but I prefer working with them now after I unlocked it. For example, you can get the plugins to look way nicer. I do like a lot how I managed to get this M compressor to look. And M compressor is a pretty powerful plugin. And I also really appreciate how I can now just drag and resize it. I also quickly want to mention iZotope, which is a brand I use a lot when producing or mixing mastering. What I can say is, again, similar to the IK Total Studio Max, I find the best deal is if you buy the MPS Music Production Bundle. Currently it's not even really on sale, so maybe don't buy it right now. I think all of these things individually often cost a bit too much, especially if you want to keep them up to date every year or every other year. Personally, I use this bundle mostly for Ozone 11. I'm still on version 10 at the moment. But then, you know, you get tempted to buy Neutron or you want to try Nectar. And if you buy the whole bundle, oftentimes you pay a very comparable price to upgrade, especially as if you buy them all individually. And if you start buying one and then another one a year later and then another one a year later, you're going to end up spending way more than if you would just have bought the whole bundle. I do like working with Ozone, but I'm also a bit hesitant to give them their money because this plugin is still this small, and while I can drag it bigger on my screen, the text is going to stay tiny. Version 11 is a bit bigger, but still not fully rescalable. Sometimes I use Neutron. I think they're good to work with, especially if you want to do a quick multiband transient shaper or a quick multiband saturation. Neutron, Ozone, very good to work with. They're too small on my screen though, and the updates are too often and too expensive. But if you want to buy it, consider using my affiliate link in the description. I would recommend buying the MPS and upgrading the MPS maybe every 2 to 3 versions. And although I am a PluginBoutique affiliate, I think you should also maybe consider buying stuff from AudioDeluxe. One deal I think is pretty good is the Waves 3 plugins for $50. And yeah, Waves is maybe not a very beloved brand, but I have to be honest. For example, Max Volume is still one of my go-tos. On every video recording, I'm putting max volume on my vocals. I'm coming home today. I'm coming home today. Can't wait another day. I think it has a very natural sound. It's very easy to do some upward compression with it. And if you look at this list, I have to say Waves Clarity VX has some great reviews and I'm still considering picking it up. Also Ovox, I've been looking at Ovox for years. I might pick it up this year, maybe next year. I just wanted to mention it because I think it's a good deal. Usually you pay $30 to $40 per plugin, but you can get 3 for $50. Which is one of the 2 times a year I think you should buy Waves. Black Friday, 3 for $50, and Valentine's Day, 2 for $1. I think that's pretty good. Also, if you want something like Ozone Advanced, but Advanced is too expensive, I personally say never get Elements. Elements is even free at the moment, but never get Elements. I think Elements is dumb. Get TDR Limiter 6 GE. $10 is crazy for what this plugin can deliver. This plugin can do multiband limiting, multiband compression, mid-side limiting, mid-side clipping, mid-side compression. This is an amazing plugin. Alright, I wanted to quickly, it wasn't that quick, it took me like an hour to talk about all these plugins. Let's see how long the video is going to turn out. Mention which plugins you could consider buying this Black Friday, Cyber Monday, or whenever. These are some of my favorite plugins that I use pretty much in every song. Maybe you could leave me some recommendations in the comments. What plugins do you think I missed? What are your go-to plugins that you think everybody should consider buying this Black Friday? If you're using my affiliate links, thank you a lot. That might really help the channel, and I'm honestly a bit curious as to how much money I can make on the side with a video like this. Thanks for watching. See you again soon.